So Democratic presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. testified yesterday before the House Republican-led so-called Weaponization Committee on the issue.
It's been a bust, too. It's incredible.
On the issue of censorship, the hearing was often very contentious between Kennedy and the Democrats on the committee, who called him a menace to society, who did not deserve the platform Republicans gave him. Kennedy has a long history of making controversial comments, most recently coming under fire from members of his own family for pushing anti-Semitic tropes about COVID. Democratic Congressman Jerry Connolly of Virginia gave an especially passionate rebuke of how the Republicans were using Kennedy for cynical political purposes.
I've been in this Congress 15 years. And I never thought we'd descend to this level of Orwellian dystopia. Suddenly, the tools of the trade are not to get at the truth, but to distract, distort, deflect, and dissemble. To disagree is censorship. To try to correct the facts is to infringe on my right of free speech. And no matter what you may think, Mr. Kennedy, and I revere your name, you're not here to propound your case for censorship. You are here for cynical reasons to be used politically by that side of the aisle to embarrass the current president of the United States, and you're an enabler in that effort today. And it brings shame on a storied name that I revere.
You know, Donnie, I've known Bobby for a long time. I like him. I've always liked him.
What's going on, though?
Always been a good guy to me, and a smart guy. I remember maybe 20 years ago hearing him give an impassioned speech on the environment, and it was a really, really compelling speech. You get gifted orator, and you can tell. I'm sure, just like the family members are at a loss about the anti-Semitic tropes that he's throwing out there, at a loss about one conspiracy theory after another. We're not going to give their names, but Mika and I were having a conversation with people who've been friends with the Kennedys for a very long time, and they love Bobby Jr. They love him. They love the whole family, and they say he's a very compelling guy, very gifted guy. He can pull you in, and they too are at a total loss about this guy being overtaken by one conspiracy theory after another, after another, after another. And I think for the family members who have sat by quietly all this time, I think the anti-Semitic trope about COVID being targeted genetically, I think that was the final straw. And of course, what Bobby always does is he throws something out there, and then, like Trump, I can't believe I'm saying it, but like Trump, when he gets called out on it by the press, he goes, oh, no, I never said that. And then you go back and you look at the tape and you see he actually said that. And it's always framed in a way where he can pull back if it blows up in his face. But what's the danger? What's the problem? The problem is he has set that anti-Semitic trope and that virus out online. And for all the conspiracy theorists that are following him, that takes root and it grows. And it's Jews who pay for that. It's Jews that pay for that, maybe by being shouted at and taunted on the streets. Maybe it's by having a rock thrown at the synagogue. Maybe it's by people going in and shooting up synagogues. I'm talking about just anti-Semitism in general, not about this specific anti-Semitic trope. I'm just saying, though, it is so reckless and irresponsible. And for people who've known Bobby for a long time, much better than me, in fact, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. You said the quiet part out loud, the parallels between Trump and Bobby Kennedy Jr. are kind of stunning. They're both very, very charismatic media figures that understand the media. As you said, they'll throw these grenades out and let them explode and then walk away and go, oh, I didn't do anything. And he's taking the greatest family brand name in U.S. history, Kennedy, and dumping all over it. And it's just, you know, the Kennedys have had a lot of tragedies over the years, but I can't think of any greater blemish than what he's doing out there. And I think he's not well. I mean, I think there's something, you know, you can explain all you want, but for him to say, to throw out the controversy he throws in this latest anti-Semitic trope, I think he's fallen and he can't get up. And I think there's something very wrong with Bobby Kennedy Jr. And going back to one of the earlier segments in the show, God forbid this lunatic decides to run as a third party and the damage that that would do. This is a very dangerous guy with a very storied name that is casting a dark shadow over it.
Molly, it's been interesting to see, too, how some, I guess, libertarians or conservatives who are done with Donald Trump have sort of put their arms around Bobby Kennedy Jr. as a guy, by their perception, who, like Trump, is railing against the establishment, questioning received knowledge and conventional wisdom, and on and on and on. I mean, he's doing much worse than that. And by the way, this isn't new. The vaccine stuff he's been doing for a generation and hurt a lot of people with that, his conspiracy theories about vaccines. But it's been interesting how House Republicans have sort of, I don't know if they fully embraced him, but they like a lot of what he's saying.
Well, they platformed him at this hearing. And the reason that a lot of conservatives like him is not because they want him to be president. This is a very craven ploy. Remember, they want to have a third party, not because a third party will win. You know, Trump may never win the popular vote. He hasn't ever, right? He just needs to win the Electoral College. And so you get a Bobby Kennedy Jr. on the ticket and you get those votes and you could see another Trump presidency. And so I think ultimately this is really a play to hurt Biden. They know the economy is good. They know that Biden is, you know, does pretty well and is pretty electable and tends to overperform. And so this is sort of a desperate ploy to hurt Biden.
Yeah, and by the way, the Kennedy family has gone to the Bidens and let them know they do not support his candidacy, and they understand that it is being cynically used by Republicans, by Donald Trump, by Steve Bannon, by Roger Stone, by all of these people to do nothing but actually help anti-democratic forces in America. It's really unfortunate.